Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about ranked arenas in Apex Legends. Most of my gameplay today is going to be from ranked arenas, and it's mostly going to be Bloodhound, though in order to keep the thumbnail not clickbaity, I am going to be playing Seer for a little bit. His kit is actually very similar to Bloodhound's, but more complicated, and I preferred Bloodhound for the simplicity of the matter. But like the clickbaity title suggests, I think that ranked 3v3 arenas might be better than Battle Royale in Apex Legends. I am seriously enjoying this mode. This is one of the more fun streams that I've done in a long time. And for those of you that are out of the loop on Apex, last season they introduced a new 3v3 mode called Arenas. You basically fight in a smaller arena-sized version of the Battle Royale map, a couple of different ones actually. This kind of section them off like Call of Duty does. It's only 3v3, so you and one other squad, and it's basically elimination, last team standing wins. There's no bombs to defuse or anything like that in Search and Destroy, but there is a Battle Royale style zone that'll push you together, so you do have to fight. You can res people that aren't fully dead, so they go down just like regular VR, and you can go, pick them up. And like a lot of other games, there is a competitive economy system in place too. You get points or credits for killing, for winning. You can actually pick them up off the map, so there's this whole metagame of controlling the credit pickups. Then you can spend money in between rounds on guns, upgrades, meds, or abilities. So I would say it's a little bit less like CSGO and a little bit more like Valorant. You have to buy your character's abilities. The ultimates are on a cooldown, so even if you're winning a lot, you can't just pop your ultimate every single round. One key difference between this and those games, though, is that you do have to rebuy your weapons every single round. They never stay with you, so whatever you pick up or scavenge or keep, you have to rebuy, and I think that's why the guns are comparatively cheaper in Apex Arenas than they are in those other modes. So as long as you're winning, you'll pretty much always have the money to buy back your favorite guns with no problem. Interestingly, all you have to do to win is win 2 games ahead of your enemy. That can be as quickly as 2 or 3 matches, or it could take up to, I think, like 13 matches you can go through. So these matches can be very fast or very short, and they're kind of designed to determine if you're dominating or not. If you're beating a team, you're clearly ahead, you're better, you win, you move on. If you two are kind of going back and forth every round, it could take a long time, but overall I think it's a simple system and it works. And now it's time to move on to opinion time about why I like this mode so much. The best way to talk about an opinion is the genesis of where it came from. So I came back to play Apex Legends because I'm taking a break from Warzone. Warzone has become frustrating and it's filled with hackers among other things. So as you see on the channel, I'm playing a bunch of different games right now. Apex Legends has always been a great game. It's always been a top tier shooter. In my book, the only time it wasn't amazing was when it was brand new and I was still learning it and other people were still learning it. We didn't quite know how good it was going to be yet. And I just wanted to go back to Apex and enjoy that. I had a hard welcome coming back because Warzone skills do not translate to Apex skills. As Niku says, the opposite is true, that if you're really good at Apex, those skills will probably translate to Warzone pretty easily, but not the other way around. So I came back and it would be generous to say that I was rusty. To say that I was actual garbage or dog water would probably be more accurate, but because I'd played a lot of Apex in the past, the skill-based matchmaking put me outside of my current skill bracket into my old skill bracket, and I just got smashed. I just spent several hours getting pounded over and over and over again, and Apex started to be not very fun. It kind of started to tarnish my memory of this game, and I was thinking, am I wrong? Am I dumb? Is Apex actually kind of like a bad game? So I decided to change it up and maybe do arenas. Now previously arenas were fun but weren't particularly compelling due to a lack of ranks. When a mode doesn't have a rank system, eventually everyone just kind of starts trolling or trick shotting or going for kills with certain guns or camo challenges, and it turns into a game where you have like 1 or 2 people playing seriously and the rest of them are screwing around, and the whole teamwork element of this game just doesn't happen. So I thought the mode would be much better if you put an elo system in place and ranked rewards in order to force people to do teamwork because they wanted to level up. And it turns out I was right. Just adding ranks to the game made everything way more serious, but in a good way. Team comps and teamwork all of a sudden started happening when people wanted to win. I initially started seeing very info-heavy teams with both Seer and Bloodhound, and I think that's what we ran quite a lot of tonight, just to have the best information on the enemies. I saw some medic-heavy teams with Lifeline and Gibraltar so that they could both constantly res very easily and safely. Even saw a few like camper-heavy teams with Watson, Revenant, and Caustic to just try to hold out the inside of the buildings on some of these maps. But there were a ton of different combos. There were even a few, I did see like one hyper-mobility team that had like Pathfinder and Octane and Valkyrie, and they were just like flying all over the map. They played super aggressive and we couldn't hide from them. And that in itself was fun, because previously people just picked whatever character they want and didn't really think much about the synergies, but now people are thinking about synergies and doing more complicated things and using these abilities the way that they were intended, and that gave me the opportunity to counterplay them, because while I may not have the best aiming skills or the highest elo in the game, I do remember how it all works. I did do in-depth on most of these characters, so I had the knowledge to counterplay those abilities, and that felt very satisfying in itself. My knowledge carried me through some of these matches. All of a sudden I started noticing people like using smoke to cover reses. They would throw distraction grenades. One person fights while the other one picks up, which is something you're kind of supposed to do in Battle Royale, but you'll get third-partied in Apex. There's like all these strategies about, do we get the credits? Do we go straight for the med crate and like out heal these guys? Do we just go in, distance, up close, maybe save up this round and get big guns next round? And the enemies, of course, as I went through my placement matches, started getting harder and harder and aiming better and better. And to me, this felt like what Apex was supposed to be. This kind of feels like how Apex was supposed to be played. And it just had a bunch of benefits. Most notably that I got into the action and into a match very, very quickly. I got to buy the loot that I wanted, and I mostly got to engage in what I would call honorable battles, where we're kind of starting from an even starting point. We're facing each other. There is an information game, but for the most part, you're kind of having a small series of 1v1s or 2v1s with enemies instead of a bunch of third-partying and backstabbing. The downside of Apex Battle Royale, slightly more than others, because it's a problem in all of them, is third-partying. In Apex especially, because you can be so mobile, the moment you finish a fight, you can be almost guaranteed that another team is going to be rolling right up on you, ready to go, so you have just fractions of a second to heal and do your thing, and that can be fun, but it can also be very exhausting, and most of the fights you win are ones where you just catch a team like at a distance and you get a snipe and you just blow one guy up really hard, and then okay, it's time to roll in and force a numbers advantage. It can be fun if you're doing that to other people consistently, but when that happens to you, it's just one person on your team gets blown up, usually me, and the other ones just have to kind of fight it out, and the res system isn't quite as robust as Warzone. However, if I'm playing ranked arenas, I get my gun, I get loaded in, I kind of have an idea of where the enemies are, and anything that happens to me is my fault. It's not luck-based, it's not where the zone pushed, it's not where another team rotated in, it's not an audio cue that I didn't make. It is truly my fault if I get spotted, and you know, I'm kind of okay with that. So at the end of the night, I genuinely had fun in this mode. I felt rewarded for both my tactical skills and my aiming skills. My aiming skills are in recovery for Apex, you could say. Oddly, I can do the wingman pretty well, but then basically nothing else. Aiming in Apex is much harder than Warzone. You have just generally faster movement speed, but more vertical movement, teleports, climbing, zip lines. And most importantly for me, a skill that I really struggle at is cross-strafing. Cross-strafing is something you'll see in games that have higher health and higher time to kill. Usually you see this on PC, is that if you're just like cowboy quick draw, you're looking at an enemy, he's looking at you, you got your guns pointed at each other, you want to strafe to one side and then track perfectly as you strafe and then immediately cut back and keep tracking so that you're kind of wiggling side to side really fast, making it difficult to get headshots or if you're a skinny character, body shots, but also tracking. So you're always hitting, but you're a difficult target. That's a very basic like PC aiming skill and strategy that I just have not mastered, no matter how much I want. I think it's because I've played so much console, I'm very much so used, even years later, for the sticky aim or the generous hitboxes to do the work for me and the the aim assistance to do the micro adjustments, and I know better than that. I'm trying to do better than that, but I still struggle with that cross aiming. Maybe one day I'll be good at it, or maybe console ruined me for life. I don't know. But my overall opinion is that I had a lot of fun in Apex arenas. Really only ranked arenas, regular arenas. This is a little bit less fun. It has very few downsides. There are things that I could nitpick about this game mode. I could definitely go find some downsides, or if I wanted to study the meta until my mind exploded, I'm sure there are some things that are overpowered. But overall, it feels good to be playing something that has the quality shooting of Apex, of the Respawn team, masters of FPS, that isn't a frantic BR where I get shot in the back all the time. It's a different kind of game mode. I really enjoy it, and I would encourage any and all of you to check it out. It's super fun. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.